Hi there, as people are coming in, welcome, welcome. I missed you last week. I ended up not doing one last week, a Zoom webinar, but I'm glad to see you're back here on Saturday, October 12th. If you guys can't hear me or anything, let me know. Somebody let me know, but it should be all well and good. From wherever you are, I see who's coming in, and a couple of you are way out on the West Coast, so you're at a totally different time. But anyway, great to have you with me. So I'm going to take a second here to open up my newsletter that I just sent out. So bear with me on that one for one moment, please. Again, today is October 12th. My name is Becky Montrone. I am a certified holistic health care practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. And I'm also an herbalist. So I do have a lot of formulas here. I have formulated and we make for various health issues and for wellness. And I'm going to be actually talking about a few of them today, because I'm talking today about cold and flu season. It is upon us. It was like yesterday, somebody came in, a regular client, a usual client, he came up to pick up some things and picked up, wanted expectorant. And I had to put it out, I had to bottle it. Actually, I had to make it. And I was thinking, oh, expectorant, and then apparently, but Mary was telling me, no, we've been selling quite a bit of it. So, I forget we are in cold and flu season. And that might seem funny because, I work with people all the time, but around here, we tend to stay pretty healthy. So I'm not castigating anybody if they don't, but I'm just saying it kind of creeps up on me, because I've been very blessed not to succumb to those kinds of things myself. I had COVID. I did have COVID back in 2021, but it had been decades since I had anything. So anyway, but there are things we can do to keep our immune systems healthy. And I will say that's one thing that most of you who are working with me are just doing without even trying, because of basic things I have you on for just overall wellness and anti-aging, right? So they help boost your immune system. You don't really have to think that much about, going beyond that. But I'm going to talk about those things today. I started out a whole, PowerPoint, but it's way too involved. And I'm still doing it. I'm still going to do it, but it'll be a lot more involved with, what is the viruses and colds. And also, I think I'd like to take it into, just more depth. And with that in mind, I've just started this morning, I started an immune system page for my website. So let me finish my intro. So we are located in the Miller Forge building on Roxbury Street in downtown Keene, New Hampshire. Today, we have this pumpkin festival going on downtown, which is one reason I was late, but it's just, I knew the pumpkin festival was going to be going on, so I'm just late. But I had to get around the central square. So it's kind of a big deal in Keene. It used to be a bigger deal, but in New Hampshire, Keene was sort of known for the pumpkin festival. And so there's all that stuff going on. As I look out my window, I'm looking at beautiful maple trees that are like so high, because I'm on the third floor, right? I'm looking up and it's the top of the tree is like over there. And that's like it really in full color. So it's really exciting. It's really pretty around here. So I hope wherever you are, it is too. Anyway, third floor of the Miller Forge building. Our business hours are 9:30 to 5. Monday through Friday. Our number here is 603-439-2603. You can also easily reach out to me personally by going to either of my websites, wondrousroots.org or shopwondrousroots.com. And both of them have a contact us, and that is just directs right to my private email. So you can contact me that way too. We have full handicap access here. We're on the third floor, but we have elevator, stairwell, and you come off either and you're right at our door, which we leave open except on the most brutal below 0 days. We have it open to the hallway when we're open during the week. So I think that's it for right now. If you're listening, maybe you're catching me for the first time on Rumble or YouTube. You can go below to the description to see the newsletter that goes with this program. And you can also check out my other videos on Rumble and YouTube. And you can also go to my wondrousroots.org, my research files. Those are just I'm building those time and time. I mean, all the time. I'm building them. So I think I'll share my screen. Whoops, I've got a chat there. I can hear you, but it took a while. Okay. So I think everybody can hear me now. Thanks, Connie. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and just show you a little bit of what's going on there lately so that you can take advantage of it. So let's do that for right now. Okay, yeah, I'll just share this. And that is the newsletter that I put out today. But if I go here, whoops, just be able to go to wondrousroots.org. Okay. So there is this is the kind of the website page. It's not, if you go here or here, it'll take you straight over to the website where you can purchase things. And then if you go there, you can go back to here. But anyway, research files. I started something, lifestyle health habits. So this is what happened last week. I was going to do, I'm going to do these in alphabetical because I can't do like that. It would be so long. So I'm gonna have to do like a lifestyle healthy habits, right? So it'll be like diet, things like this, hydration, exercise, breathing, anything like that. That'll go like all on this page. And then I'll put them in alphabetical order. But last week, I decided I was going to do the topic of hydration because why? Because somebody brought that up. There was something about that. Oh, yeah. We were talking about hydration being important for weight loss with one of my clients. And so I was like, well, that's a good thing to talk about. So then I started doing it last Saturday morning and I'm like, oh, there's so much to really explore here. And I have differing views, like differing thoughts about how many glasses of water and is coffee considered water or is that bad? And you can find stuff all over the place. So I started working on that. And then I just said, I'll wait, spend time on it. But then just like drinking water can be kind of boring, like this topic is rather boring to me. So I'm going to have to come back to it. And today I'm going to talk about cold and flu. But okay, so show you some other things that are up here. So I do really want to do a piece on palmitoyl ethanolamide. This, I've talked about the PEA, and remember the first time I talked about it months ago, I couldn't pronounce it. Now I just love saying it. And since I'm screen sharing, I'm going to put my chat over here. I'm going to put you guys over here so I can see you. Again, if you want to participate, you can, like Connie did. She typed in the chat. No, she typed in the, yeah, I think she typed in the chat. She did. You can go to the Q&A or you can raise your hand and I will call on you and you can speak. Okay, good. Now I can see everybody. All right. So, but what I wanted to show you is, okay, let me just kind of tell you about, and one of my clients who catches the videos later, usually most of the time, but he was saying he loves it when he wish I would give more case histories. Like I use this with this person and this person had this situation on. I've done that. I do that from time to time when it's appropriate or when I think of one that's like that. So one of those ones, a couple of them would be a big problem. And I think it might have to go on this page when I do the PCOS, maybe hormonal PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis. So we've got a lot going. A lot of women today have problems with endometriosis, which is uterine tissue growing outside of where it's supposed to in your body, in your abdominal cavity. Fibroids, ovarian cysts, things like that. These are all linked to estrogen dominance. And so there's a lot of it. There's a lot of these problems and they can be super debilitating. They can be amazingly in interfering in your daily life. I had endometriosis and it didn't interfere in my daily life to the extent that it does with a lot of women. But some people are really incapacitated. and then they have difficulty. They go in and have surgery, but the surgery creates more adhesions and it becomes like a gloppy kind of cement mess. It can, anyway, so there are different things that we can use to combat endometriosis besides dealing with just the hormonal aspect with iodine, using things like dindylmethane to bring estrogen levels down, address estrogen, melatonin, things like that. But I found in the course of everything, palmitoyl ethanolamide right here. So PEA, remember, it's I talked about it. It is it's a lipid that we make in our bodies, but we don't make enough of it to be therapeutic for all of these things we want to use it for. So we can now use it in supplement form. It is also provided in foods like eggs, milk, and peanuts. But again, you can't like eat enough of those to get a therapeutic dose, but it's being shown to be remarkable for so many different health problems. And one of them is cancer. And I thought for sure I had added it here, and I probably did, but then didn't publish it when I was looking for a guy that I'm working with who has pancreatic cancer, because I work working with a lot of people with cancer, but with particular what do I want to say? Reference to that one. But anyway, here we have, so palmitoyl ethanolamide I first rolled out as pain, neuropathic pain, particularly neuropathies of different kind, but pain of many different kinds. And so that was my first introduction to palmitoyl ethanolamide, which I knew nothing about last year at this time. But now, as you guys know, it's one of my favorites. But here we have and I'm just trying to demonstrate to you how I build these pages and how you can go back. And what I've learned about something last week will now be up there. So keep going back if you're interested in a topic. But again, effective ultramicronized palmitoyl ethanolamide and co-micronized with polydatin on chronic pelvic pain and quality of life in endometriosis patients. So this is the fun of what I do. And this is what the fun of these pages for me. So I just added up here today, or maybe last night, because somebody asked me a question. So this is what happens. You might email me and ask me a question, and I'm like, I'm finding something for you. And I add it to the page. Now, this was not what I did added to this page this morning was Rauwolfia. Okay, so Rauwolfia I've talked about in a previous program with regard to blood pressure. So it's one of the herbs that works best for bringing down blood pressure. And it used to be used in a drug called reserpine, but used in the whole herb, it's much better. But anyway, the Townsend letter, which is one of my favorite resources for this type of information, the Townsend letter for doctors. It's kind of an alternative thing, but it's been around for years. My father bought me a subscription decades ago, and it's just one of my favorite resources. But for instance, this one, Rauwolfia, that doesn't look very good, but that's just the name of it. Talked about different things, but then in the course of learning about that, I didn't realize that Rauwolfia was effective against prostate cancer. So it's an and potentiation here. So of this, and it came down into here against drug-resistant tumor cells. And all of this. So this is really cool. So these things. And so then what I did was I also put that page, like if you go to my cancer page and go down here, I have Rauwolfia prostate cancer addressed. So you can also find that there. So anyway, I'm just telling you that because this is like a major way I can communicate with you all with regard to the things that I'm learning and that I'm putting up there and that you can go back and look to. Anyway, so this is back to my newsletter. So I'm just going to go through some of these things that we can do to keep our immune systems healthy. A lot of times this time of year, people will ask, like, what do I do? And the first thing I'll say is, even though I love herbs, I will generally have people just using nutrients that keep your innate immune system balanced. So the innate immune system is really important. It's the part of the it's your immune system that has nothing to do with antibodies. So it doesn't have anything to do with vaccinations you may have received or with things that you've been exposed to and built natural immunity. So it's not, has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your cells and your white blood cells and whatnot going after things, whatever they might be. And this is really most ideal, right? Because that's what we want. We want an immune system that does not have to be virus or bacteria, microbial specific. We just want to say whatever it is that's out there. I'm out in the grocery store, I'm on a plane, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. My immune system is robust, so it doesn't really matter that I haven't had my blank shot for this or my shot for that or whatever. So it's more along the lines of keeping your own immune system robust apart from antibodies. And then, of course, you do have that whole part of it too. That's part of your own immune system, which is the antibodies. Like in my case, I have developed through natural exposure to things. And some people, a lot of people get antibodies are built by vaccinations. So that's what we really want to do. And these, so there are certain nutrients that you can, that there is data out there on that they help boost the immune system. Vitamin C is one of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on vitamin C. And you can take extra vitamin C during the cold and flu season. It is a good help to constantly keep your white blood cells where they need to be, furnishing and supplying fuel to your innate immune system. And you can find a lot of information out there, but this is Green Med Info. I've had so much, I love Green Med Info, but I don't know. When I try to log in and I pay my monthly professional fee, I've got to get in touch with them. But when I try to log in, it says you're denied access, and I don't know what's going on. But anyway, here we go. This one is not logged in. So when you click on that link, you can just get to it and you'll see this, but you won't see the title. Let's see, it should link to should actually take you to, well, there you go. But they're talking about an extra dose of vitamin C. Oh yeah, extra dose of vitamin C based on daily supplementation shortens the common cold. So they kind of had to begrudgingly, PubMed, okay, all right, we're not very enthused about vitamin C for, preventing the common cold or anything. But it says here, in the evaluation of vitamin C in this particular study, administration of extra therapeutic doses at the onset of cold, despite routine supplementation, was found to help reduce its duration. Okay, so if you're reducing duration, you're fighting it, right? That means you're reducing duration because your body is getting on top, your white blood cells are getting on top of the replication of whatever it is that's multiplying and making your cold last longer. So it almost makes it sound like when they say that the vitamin C is helping with your stuffy nose or helping with your cough. It's not, it's working through the immune system. Okay. So vitamin D, I mean, we just know that vitamin D is huge for the immune system and in very many ways, but it is, there's a paper here, evidence that vitamin D supplementation could reduce risk of influenza and COVID-19 infections and deaths. This again, you know me, I'm always like, when was this published? This was published in April of 2020, yet those of us like myself who dared mention anything like this for COVID were blacklisted, we were censored, still are. Because I'm talking about this now and I put this on YouTube, I promise you there'll be a little warning right under the video that, go here for your information on COVID, go to our official site. But that would have been like important to know, right? Back then when everybody was scared to death that they were going to kill their relatives and friends with COVID. Anyway, so they do talk about that. It is recommended that people, it says to reduce the risk of infection, it is recommended that people at risk of influenza and or COVID-19 consider taking 10,000 international units a day of vitamin D3 for a few weeks to rapidly raise your concentrations, followed by 5,000 international units a day. The goal should be to raise concentrations to above 40 to 60. So a lot of you have had your vitamin D levels tested with just routine testing. A lot of times they're doing that now. And so that's kind of what they're saying here in this study. You need to be in this zone. A lot of people find out they're like in 20s or something. So make sure that you don't need to get it tested. Just take your vitamin D. You have to take a whole heck of a lot of vitamin D. They've used 300,000 international units long term with people with severe arthritis for their arthritis of vitamin D without side effects. So don't be all scared about the toxicity. Make sure if you're taking vitamin D3 though that you're taking K2 as well, right? Because they work together so that the vitamin D doesn't cause calcium in your body to build up in the soft tissues. And I've talked about that many times. So, but that's important. And it's kind of like, see, through several mechanisms, vitamin D can reduce risk of infections. Those mechanisms include inducing cathelicidins and defensins that can lower viral replication rates and reducing concentrations of pro-inflammatory cytokines that produce the inflammation that injures the lining of the lungs, leading to pneumonia, as well as increasing concentrations of anti-inflammatory cytokines. So it's not just about the immune system, it's also about the anti-inflammatory cytokines. What else does that? Melatonin in COVID. What else does that? Glutathione. So you get a lot of overlap with these things. So you can see if you're already on a good daily supplemental program, you are protecting yourself. Like I don't take extra vitamin D3 myself. I take the 2,000 international units that's in the vitamin D, in the Thorne Basic Nutrients that has the K2. I don't know. I don't think I need more vitamin D. Maybe I do, but I don't get tested either, but I don't get sick. So, and I've been taking an extra vitamin D for day after day after day, for year after year after year, for decade after, so whatever, that's fine for me. That's what I do. But you can do extra, and a lot of people do. So there's like this, we have this product. We also have a couple of liquids that are D3 and K2, so you can more finely, this is like a 5,000 international. I'm going to clear my throat. Hang on. This is a 5,000 international unit of D3, and then the K2 to go with it. When you are doing more D3, you don't have to incrementally add the K2 to match the D3. You just have to be getting a therapeutic dose of K2. No, I don't take more vitamin D than what is in the Thorne. If I had a weakened immune system, I would. Or if I was dealing with autoimmune illnesses or something like that, I would. I take so many things. It just would be one more thing for me to take. And I don't personally think I need it. But anyway, it is really wonderful. And certainly, if you're fighting something, that's a good time to bump up your dose, even if you don't typically do that as a preventive all the time, taking extra. Moducare, I really love Moducare. Now, this one is really nice for kids. The grape chewables, because they actually taste good. Kid tested. I had a child in here who was very skeptical. She was about 5 years old one day, and opened a bottle and let her try one before she took them home. And she was like, these are great. These are fine. So Moducare is plant sterols and sterolins that come from pine, but they come from the fat part, the sterol part. So we get pycnogenol from pine bark, and we can use the pine needles are very good. Like we were using pine needles back when people were getting concerned about the shedding from people getting the COVID shots and that kind of thing. But this is the sterolin part. And so what I love about Moducare is that it's really great for boosting your immune system to fight things so you don't get them. But it's also really wonderful for people who have autoimmune conditions because it balances the Th1, Th2 ratio response of the immune system. So it brings down the hyperimmune response that you see with allergies and autoimmune conditions while boosting up your ability to fight something that you're exposed to. And I said, go here. Yeah. This is a paper I really like to hand out to people when I'm using it. And again, I use it a lot of times with people I'm working with who have autoimmune conditions. But you can see here, taken orally at 3 capsules per day, restores weakened or reduced T cell activity in a balanced proportion of Th1 and Th2 cells. This enables the immune system to effectively counteract viral diseases such as the common cold, hepatitis, HIV, etc., and various microbial diseases, tuberculosis. Moducare also corrects a variety of autoimmune conditions, usually arising from an excess secretion of inflammatory factors. So we use it for that. That's really great. It says it thereby helps an individual to maintain good health or fight a disease effectively. And the use of Moducare is ideal in conjunction with drug treatments that tend to disturb the Th1, Th2 balance, or where a disease results in a Th1, Th2 imbalance, which a drug cannot correct. So let me give you an example. A lot of times, so say you have rheumatoid arthritis, and your doctor says we need to put you on an immunosuppressive drug for that to stop that over aggressiveness of the immune response against that against your tissues that is causing your arthritis. The problem, the downside of those medications is that they suppress your entire immune system. So now you get exposed to the common cold, hepatitis, HIV, or whatever, tuberculosis, but you get exposed to things, right? Whatever you're exposed to, and your immune system is overall suppressed. And so people long-term on those drugs also are more susceptible to problems like cancer, which you definitely need your immune system to protect yourself against, or repetitive cases of pneumonia and things like that. So this is really, Moducare is really wonderful for this purpose. So it's great. So say you're taking Moducare, you're working with me, maybe you're taking Moducare because you have rheumatoid arthritis, or you have Sjogren's disease, or you have lupus or something like that. You're already getting added immune boost here for preventing you from getting flu and cold and all of that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. And then the thing I don't like about this one is you have to take it an hour before. They tell you to take 1 on an empty stomach 3 times a day. Well, right there, like, nobody is going to be able to do that because, and number one, you've got to pay attention. And sometimes, you're at work, you're doing whatever, you're not eating on a scheduled thing, every day, what time you're going to get a chance to eat something and whatever. But animal food, because animal food contains cholesterol, the cholesterol in the animal food will interfere with the absorption of the plant sterols. So you've got plant sterols and animal sterols, cholesterol, and they're both very vital to your health, but you don't want to have them at the same time. So in fact, Moducare actually makes one that's really the same thing for cholesterol control, because you take it with your food containing cholesterol and it helps limit the absorption of the cholesterol. So anyway, that said, so you have to carve out for yourself, like I have people take all 3 at one time, and you have to carve out for yourself like an hour in the morning before you have any food that comes from an animal. And a lot of people like animal foods in the morning, like eggs and, butter and stuff like that. So anyway, that's just the downside to that one, but it's a very good way to go. Now, say you want to get that balancing effect, but you don't, to a lesser extent, the balancing effect, but and some people with autoimmune, even though beta glucans have are said to have an immuno balancing effect, it can be too stimulating on the one hand and cause more problems with their autoimmune things. Not everybody, but sometimes. But I never use beta glucan with someone with autoimmune disease. I always use the Moducare. But anyway, when it comes to getting sick, beta glucans are amazing from the yeast. So that's the beta 1316 glucans, and immunity, the state of the art and future direction. So this is really great. So I'll tell my people who are coming in, what do I do extra? What can I do for my kids, my teens who are going to high school and stuff like that, to help them? I might get them on, Thorne Basic Nutrients, a multivitamin, and Moducare. Have them take a Moducare, not a Moducare, a beta glucan every day. So here we have the beta 1316 glucans and immunity, state of the art and future direction. So the innate immune system, which I was talking about, that's our immune system that doesn't have anything to do with antibodies, responds in a rapid and non-specific manner against immunological threats. Inflammation is part of this response. This is followed by a slower but targeted and specific response termed the adaptive or acquired immune response. There is emerging evidence that dietary components, including yeast-derived beta-glucans, can aid host defense against pathogens by modulating inflammatory and antimicrobial activity of neutrophils and macrophages. So how you see that in your blood count, right? Somebody will say to me, oh, my doctor said my white blood cell count is high. And we might say, well, maybe you're fighting something, right? Maybe you've got some little infection brewing or something like that. Innate immunity training refers to a newly recognized phenomenon wherein compounds may train innate immune cells such that monocyte and macrophage precursor biology is altered to mount a more effective immunological response. Although various human studies have been carried out, much uncertainty still exists, and further studies are required to fully elucidate. Let's see when this was published, 2020. Yeah, everybody would have been doing good with beta-glucan then too. This review offers an up-to-date, the recent preclinical work that was partly decrypted mode of action. According to preclinical studies, beta-glucan 1316, beta-1316 glucan derived from baker's yeast may offer increased immunosurveillance, although the human evidence is weaker than that gained from preclinical studies. They always have to say that, don't they? But I've got tons of stuff on beta-glucan in my on my website that has to do with cancer, even like beta-glucan right up here, beta-glucan and adjuvant concept, beta-glucan in the fight against cancer. So again, you can see we just know that beta-glucans also come from mushrooms and oats, but the ones that are specific, and I didn't have time to get to the mushrooms, but I recently talked about mushrooms like reishi and cordyceps and chaga and cordyceps, reishi, and lion's mane. And we were talking about the immune system effect that these mushrooms have too. And a lot of that is based on the beta-glucans, even though they're different forms of beta-glucans. So the mushrooms are really great there too. This is like a really just easy thing you can do. This is a super expensive version of this supplement. This goes for $15. Oh, if you click on these bottles too, you'll be able to go see the products. That bottle is 60 capsules. It's $15, which beta-glucan 1316 is usually much more expensive than that. But they have their whole certificate of analysis and everything. So I'm very confident with this, and it works for people, but it's only $15. And so that's like a good thing. Just take one of these every morning before you go out and hit the road. Monolaurin. I love monolaurin. Monolaurin is comes from coconut, is its richest source, is where we think of coconut, of it coming from. It also from palm. And I found this, I've got a bunch of information in my files on monolaurin, not on my website yet, but in my files. But here's a page by Dr. Axe, not by Dr. Axe, but on his website, about monolaurin. So let's go to the cold and flu section. According to a scientific article titled A Review of Monolaurin and Lauric Acid, Natural Virucidal and Bactericidal Agents, the ability of monolaurin to kill viruses has been reported since 1966. In general, it's a potent antimicrobial. This means it's a substance that kills microorganisms or stops their growth. A recent paper published in 2011, so that's not too terribly recent, but not too bad either. In the journal Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine highlights monolaurin as a potential complementary and alternative medicine for the H1N1 swine flu. In general, viruses like the flu are challenging to treat and contain because they spread and mutate extremely quickly. And this paper points out that the specific reasons why monolaurin can be so helpful to so many virus-based health problems, including colds and flus. It actually can make the fatty envelope of a pathogenic organism like a virus soluble, thereby disintegrating its outer membrane and ultimately killing off the virus and preventing replication. So that's what I tell people. It's like the virus or the fungi or the bacteria that are lipid coated, and many of them have the same molecular consistency as a structure, I would say. as monolaurin from coconut. And when they encounter each other, the monolaurin breaks open that lipid membrane surrounding and holding together and holding inside those microbes, and they spill out and die. So it's a great thing to do. And again, you don't have to worry about what time of day you're taking it or taking it with anything else. And it's also hugely anti-herpes. So we use monolaurin for people who have herpes simplex 1 or 2 to help those herpes outbreaks. So also very good for preventing, things like if somebody's got chicken pox or any of those things, Epstein-Barr, mononucleosis, very, very important. I did want to just go back to cold and flu. Oh yeah, then I got to go back one more. I can't. All right, so I have to go there. All right, so what I do in my in the fluens, you can't put, like, I was like, what can I do to get monolaurin into fluens, because I can't just use coconut oil. I suppose I could. You wouldn't get enough. You just wouldn't get enough concentration if you put in just a little bit of the actual fractionated coconut oil, right? So that wouldn't work. Saw palmetto is, we always think of saw palmetto. If you think of saw palmetto in the herbal world, you're thinking about prostate care or male pattern baldness. Prostate, it's very involved in hormonal balance. But it also is a rich source of monolaurin. So I have it in my fluens. Now, it's not going to screw up anybody's hormones. It's not enough in there to, like a child shouldn't take it or whatever. There's no problem. But I thought I would just show you here. These are some of the virus, yeast, fungus, and bacteria deactivated by monolaurin in laboratory tests. So this would go back to taking the monolaurin. And the monolaurin, you could take a dose, say, depending on your estimation of your risk, you could take a dose like once or twice a day. If you are fighting something, you would just do it like every couple of hours, just while you're fighting it. But look at this. I mean, HIV. I mean, that was like the Bruce Fife who wrote the coconut oil miracle. It was all about this guy who went down to, who had such a high viral load from HIV that he was, he was given up to die. And he said, I'm just going to take, my bucket list, and I'm going to go down to the Amazon. And I've always wanted to go down there. And anyway, he ate a lot of coconut-based foods. He noticed a lot of the foods and the medicines down in the people he was living among were coconut-based. And he reduced his viral load and recovered. He reduced his viral load with coconut by under 2,000 viral load, which whatever unit of measure they use, which is not communicable to another person. So really quite remarkable. So you have here measles and rubella, herpes 1 and 2, vesicular stomatitis virus, measles, Epstein-Barr, I think mononucleosis, right? Respiratory syncytial virus, influenza virus, dengue virus, leukemia virus, cytomegalovirus, some leaky forest virus I've never heard of, lymphocytic choriomeningitis, human papillomavirus, HPV, causes warts, and gram-positive organisms, the bacteria, anthrax, chlamydia, listeria, staph aureus, okay, so staph infection, H. pylori, ulcer type causing bacteria, strep, groups A, F, B, and G, mycoplasma pneumonia, streptococcus, L, blah, 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 vibrio, blah, 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 mycobacteria, clostridium, and then yeast, Aspergillus niger, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, penicillium, ringworm mortinia, a number of protozoa like Giardia, okay, inactivated or killed. So such a great broad spectrum when it comes to monolaurin. And again, that's there I have the saw palmetto talking about that there. Okay, so what I've done, this was way back. This was before I was practicing. Krista was little. I think Krista was around 3 years old or so. And I saw in the paper an article about echinacea and golden seal being like fantastic for if you get coming down with a cold. And I had always like mega dosed if I was coming down with a cold, I would mega dose with like vitamin C. And honestly, I never noticed anything really phenomenal like this, like echinacea and golden seal. So at the time, I just went out and I purchased Nature's Way echinacea and golden seal capsules, probably at Rite Aid or someplace like that. And the next time I felt a cold coming on, I used it and I was like, oh my gosh, this works like any time after that. And now that never even happens to me. I never even nip it in the bud, but nip it in the bud is like just remarkable if you are first coming down with a cold. So a cold, I think of those kinds of symptoms are like loss of appetite, sore throat, sneezing, cough, vomiting more in kids with a cold, probably because of the phlegm and stuff. But my first symptom would be like scratchy throat. You get this scratchy throat in the back of your throat. So you guys, you know, if you get colds, what your first symptoms are. Well, that's when you nip it in the bud. And it's super important that you do it right away because that's the whole purpose. That's the reason for the name. Because the echinacea works to really boost your white blood cell count so that your innate immune system is very well supported to go after whatever the invader is. So it's, again, it's not organism specific. It's just whatever it is, your innate immune system is able to fight it better due to the echinacea. While the Oregon grapefruit and the golden seal are more in that realm, using them for that purpose, those plants is more like a natural antibiotic. So boosting your immune system, people say, well, a cold is a virus. It's not it's not a microbe, but golden seal and Oregon grapefruit work very well against that type of a virus too. They just do because people just say it does. And echinacea without golden seal is not as effective. I can tell you that. So echinacea, you can see there 5 echinacea benefits and contraindications. It's just a little blurb on that. But when it comes to reducing inflammation, boosting the immune system, it boosts your immune system. Echinacea is believed to increase the number of white blood cells, which are essential in fighting infections. This too is how sugar interferes with the immune system because the white blood cells that need to receive vitamin C, they use the same pathway. So we go back to vitamin C, but the white blood cells. So vitamin C, the same pathway that gets into those white blood cells that vitamin C does, sugar does. And so sugar can block that pathway. So that's another big thing. If you are fighting something, cut out the sugar anyway, for the most part. But if you're fighting something, sugar will slow down your white blood cells' ability to use vitamin C. Anyway, echinacea is believed to do that. This makes it a popular choice for warding off colds and flu symptoms. Studies have shown that it can reduce the severity and duration of cold symptoms. It definitely does. I don't recommend using it around the clock. Like I would much rather use like a beta glucan that we just talked about or a monolaurin on a daily basis, saving my echinacea and golden seal type things for when I feel like I'm fighting something. Just nice to have on hand. And then respiratory health, reducing symptoms of bronchitis and sinusitis. So also, and probably due to its anti-inflammatory things here. Says it's good beneficial for conditions like arthritis, and yet echinacea can, in things like rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis, echinacea can cause an imbalance in that Th1, Th2. So I don't recommend it for arthritis myself. Anyway, so that's really great. And that, of course, is in the nip it in the bud. And I use 3 different forms. I use the Echinacea angustifolia root, and then I use the Echinacea purpurea herb and the Echinacea purpurea root. And so they all have a little bit of a different nuance, although one, if I just used one in there, it would work still. It's just, I'm an herbalist, so I like to do that. Golden seal, and let's just see, with regard to the immune system, very good for, I'm not going to go too much into that one, but okay. So natural antibiotic and immune system booster found in herbal remedies for allergies, colds, and the flu because of the natural antibiotic and immune boosting capability. So it definitely has that as well. Scientific research suggests that medicinal plants like golden seal and echinacea may enhance immune function by increasing antigen-specific antibody production. Okay, so helping you also, that's very interesting, helping you form antibodies against whatever it is you're fighting in that particular, whatever it is you just contracted. A product containing golden seal and echinacea is an awesome natural bronchitis remedy. Additionally, research at the University of Texas, Houston Medical has shown golden seal's medicinal effectiveness as an immune stimulant may be due to its ability to reduce the pro-inflammatory response, which indirectly leads to the limiting of clinical symptoms during infection. So really cool. And then so this is a berberine. Golden seal is a berberine. So again, it's something that we don't take. Some people do take a berberine on a daily basis for their blood sugar control. And that's kind of like a popular thing that people do today. I prefer to use the berberines on a 2-week max at a time basis. So I don't recommend it for that purpose because of its natural antibiotic properties. The berberines, because of their natural antibiotic properties, the berberines can disrupt your gut microbiome like antibiotics do if overused. And Oregon grape root is just another one of them. It's another berberine. It's very good. I mean, these things are very good for the gut, Oregon grape root and golden seal, but again, in the short term. Oregon grape is also useful to treat colds, flu, and numerous infections. In the lab, it has been shown to kill or suppress the growth of some of the nastiest pathogens, disease-causing microbes, Candida and other fungi, Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, E. coli, whatever that is, Giardia, blah, 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 numerous others. Berberine inhibits the ability of bacteria to attach to human cells, which helps prevent, and treat infections. So that's golden seal, that's Oregon grapefruit. The tincture is used to treat eczema, acne, herpes, and psoriasis. So it's got it's really having what we have the same effect here, these berberines, as the monolaurin, when you think about it. Okay, now, we talked about that with the saw palmetto. So Fluens has the golden seal and the echinacea that has like the nip it in the bud things, but it also has some other things that are flu specific. And so we talk about black elderberry for prevention and treatment of viral respiratory illnesses, a systematic review. We found evidence that elderberry has some effect on inflammatory markers, although this effect conclusions. Elderberry may be a safe option for treating upper respiratory illness, and there is no evidence that it overstimulates the immune system. However, the evidence on both benefits and harms is uncertain information. That is actually, that's probably not the best paper I could have put there for real information. I'm going to take you to my page because I actually do talk about that here. Okay. Elderberries are known to be effective against 8 strains of influenza. This suggests that elderberry is superior to vaccines in preventing flu because flu vaccines are only effective against known strains of flu, whereas the virus is continually mutating to new strains. Vaccines have another drawback. Over half of the people who get them report side effects. Dr. Madeline Mumkuloglu of Hadassah Hebrew University in Israel found that elderberry disarms the enzyme viruses used to penetrate healthy cells in the lining of the nose and throat. Taken before infection, it prevents infection. Taken after infection, it prevents spread of the virus through the respiratory tract. In a clinical trial, 20% of study subjects reported significant improvement within 24 hours, 70% by 48 hours, and 90% claimed complete cure in 3 days. In contrast, subjects receiving the placebo required 6 days to recover. I have to go back and find that study. I remember that was years ago when I found that. Olive leaf is in the Fluens as well. So natural antibiotics like olive leaf contain antifungal and antiviral properties, which may be the most effective means of combating many of today's new strains of colds and flu. This is a cool thing, right? Because these plants, they don't have to, it doesn't rely on what strain is out there, which is a huge edge. Olive leaf works to help you prevent subsequent viral or bacterial infections. Olive leaf is a powerful weapon against the common cold and flu, including many strains of influenza and para-influenza viruses. Olive leaf interacts with the protein in cold and flu virus particles to halt infection. And it's also very active against herpes viruses. Okay, so very useful for shingles and chickenpox and the other herpes, cold sores, and you name it. Saw palmetto again. I talked about that. So, and then in their ashwagandha, we usually think of that as a feel-good sort of adaptogen, but ashwagandha actually is useful for, it's antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. And I remember reading about ashwagandha with specific reference to COVID. And so ashwagandha is and really good for you in many ways, but it is actually antiviral. Okay, and then, some other things that we have on hand, I put them there that we have them. Our sore throat and cough formula is very popular, herbal formula. Osha root, a lot of times we use just plain osha root extract because it's highly concentrated and it's very good for bronchial and for the lungs and getting oxygen to the lungs and helping with all of that. It's also antiviral and antibacterial. Sore throat and cough, we have in there things that just really help soothe. The mullein and the slippery elm bark really help with the mucilaginous. They're mucilaginous herbs that really help. Marshmallow root as well help with that. The yerba santa, the wild cherry are very good for cough itself. I should actually add some osha root to that. Should update that formula. But people love this one, especially when they have like fits of cough at night kind of thing. And then the osha root. This one, the Wondrous nose, a lot of you know about this one. The osha root is, the Wondrous nose. I first just had it with yarrow, and because it stops nosebleed, and coconut oil. It's in coconut oil, which disarms the viruses. So my father used to make something called Fly Safe, and he used 2-deoxychone glucose for that. And that was something that you needed a prescription for in this formula, but coconut oil does the same thing, the monolaurin and the lauric acid and coconut oil when it comes to the viral thing. So I just had the idea, let's put it in, coconut oil, and then we extract these herbs into it. So the yarrow stops hemorrhage. So if you've got a nosebleed or just using it daily, if you're prone to nosebleeds, especially with dry nose in the winter, this will take care of that. But iodine is in there. Iodine is antiviral. Olive leaf is antiviral. White pine needle and dandelion leaf, both of which have been studied and shown to help defend against coronaviruses. And then the coconut oil against all lipid-coated virus, bacteria, fungi. So terrific. It's really a great thing to do, and it's very pleasant. You put it in, it comes with a little set of double-ended Q-tips, and you just swab your nostrils in the morning and off you go, especially if you're going to be flying, if you're traveling, if you're going to be out in crowds and you're concerned about picking things up. It is really a good thing to use. And then we also have our cold and flu kit, which is very popular this time of year. And it's kind of a little bit of various things: nip it in the bud, osha root, fluens, the echinacea and elderberry, because if you're pregnant or nursing, you don't really want to be using golden seal and Oregon grapefruit. So you can use the echinacea and elderberry instead of fluens and nip it in the bud. And those are perfectly safe for people with that. Our Wondrous lips is in coconut oil. Again, it's very anti-herpes. That's the cold sore formula, but it's great for overall lips. And the Wondrous nose is in there as well. So brings us up to 1 o'clock. I hope that you've been having a good season so far and haven't been sick. But again, there are things you can do. Again, most of you all of you who are in my classroom right now are already preventing illness. I didn't even get into things like glutathione, right, which is right there. I was talking more about things that we do more seasonally for cold and flu, but those of you who are working with me and are in different protocols for your overall health on a daily basis, you're doing a good job. And then if you feel like you're fighting something, grab whatever seems appropriate from among the things I've been talking about here today, and get over it quick and get back up on your feet. So anyway, I want to say thanks for being with me. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It is a holiday weekend. We will be open on, thank you, Pepper. We will be open on Columbus Day. Usually we have been, Dale and I have been every Columbus Day weekend been going to Philly to visit Krista and Dylan, but they now have moved here. So we're not doing that this weekend. So I am open. I have several client appointments on Monday. So we will be open, but I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend, and I'll be back next week with something interesting. Probably not hydration, because I just don't find it that interesting, but maybe part of it I'll do on hydration. How's that? Okay, take care. Have a wonderful day.